Hello, my name is Sophia Rozzola, and I'll be presenting the developmental impacts of sports and physical activity on children with Down syndrome. Thank you so much for listening. Before diving completely into the topic, it's best to give some background on the information at hand. For starters, Down syndrome, also referred to as trisomy 21, is a chromosomal disorder that results in genetic changes on chromosome 23, hence the name trisomy 21. Chromosome 21, hence the name trisomy 21. It results in adolescents and children having a wide range of physical problems as well as an increased risk of developing certain mental conditions. These mental conditions refer to depression, anxiety, and Alzheimer's disease. According to the CDC, they state that by the age of 50, roughly 53% of adults with Down syndrome have developed Alzheimer's disease. Furthermore, roughly 6,000 babies a year are born with Down syndrome in the United States, which is equaling to about 1 in every 700 baby. Currently, maternal age is the only factor linked to having an increased risk of a child born with Down syndrome. Additionally, according to Joblin, the author of Physical Education for the Persons with Down Syndrome, Is It More Than Just Playing? An informative article that breaks down the development of children with Down syndrome mentally. She states that children with Down syndrome, due to these increased risk of having mental conditions as well as physical problems, have a higher likelihood of becoming obese between the ages of 2 and 6 years old. Therefore, my research question was, to what extent does physical activity and sports impact the mental and physical development of children with Down syndrome? And my claim was children with Down syndrome should be introduced to sports and various forms of physical activity at a young age in order to support their mental and physical development. Therefore, my research question and claim are both supported by the stimulus material, as the psychological benefits of physical activity and sports and empowering women through sport may talk about different groups of people. However, they both have the same thing in common, that they both support physical activity and sports as a way to enhance and improve one's mental health and physical health. This applies to children with Down syndrome as one of the main focal points of psychological benefits of sports and physical activities is that there's a link between exercise and depression. As previously stated, children with Down syndrome have an increased risk of developing depression as they get older. And this article states that there's a link between the two, exercise and depression. The more one exercises, the less chance they have decreased risk of developing depression over time. It keeps them happy and stimulated, and it works on their cognitive and motor skills. Moving on, the benefits of physical activity and sports on children with Down syndrome's mental development is substantial. Children learn typically through observation, and it's no different for children with Down syndrome. In the article, the relationship between play and communication skills in young children with Down syndrome agrees with this, stating that communication skills and language capabilities go hand in hand with play skills. It grants children independence to work on their own skills, thus benefiting their mental development as it works on their cognitive and communication skills. Additionally, according to the CDC, physical activity has benefits for everyone, including children with Down syndrome. It has been shown to reduce many conditions, specifically mental health related, such as depression and anxiety. These are also the same conditions that children with Down syndrome could possibly suffer from. And psychological benefits from sports and physical activity also supports this claim in their own article. Moving on to the physical development of children with Down syndrome, it can also be benefited by physical exercise and sports. For example, in the study teaching children with Down syndrome how to ride a 2-wheel bicycle, it found that 56% of the participants in the intervention study were capable of riding a bike by the end of the week. Over the course of 12 months, it was able to decrease their sedentary behavior substantially. Thus, physical activity allows them to engage in exercise. And if they're able to be taught skills or just simple exercises, going on family outings and modifying traditional games, it allows them abilities to help their physical development. Now, with the understanding of how sports can benefit the physical and mental development of children with Down syndrome, it's imperative that there is a solution to this issue, that children with Down syndrome need to be joining more sports and physical activity as it can help their health later on. One solution could be joining sports through the Special Olympics, a nonprofit program that is completely free to anyone who wants to join, regardless of their disability. Or owning gym memberships is also another way to increase physical activity, as older children with Down syndrome may want to take that competitive edge. Although in the Special Olympics it's more adaptable, there still is that competition factor. Therefore, if children with Down syndrome want to do yoga, swimming, and jogging, they can get a gym membership, or they can just do it on their own free time. However, there are some limitations to this solution, which are emotional commitment or time in general. Something that we rely on constantly is the physical education that is implemented in our schools. However, as previously mentioned, some children may not be at the same level as their peers, therefore putting them at a disadvantage and making PE a stressor and not something enjoyable. Additionally, it can become an emotional commitment if you're having to put in so much time and being overwhelmed from it. It shouldn't be something that makes you stressed. And time too, especially because since we rely so much on the physical education and we have such busy schedules outside of school, it may be difficult to join these programs or make time for yourself to do physical activity. However, little physical activity is certainly much better than none, as even a little bit can make the biggest difference, as it will hopefully decrease sedentary behaviors in children with Down syndrome. And it's imperative that we make more programs that are adaptable and flexible to their needs. Thank you so much. Furthermore, onto the oral defense. For part 1, reflection on the research process, I've chosen the question, did your research go into a different direction than you had originally expected? And to be completely honest, it did, in a lot of ways. To elaborate, originally after receiving the stimulus material, I was intending on creating an argumentative-based essay, as well as presentation on empowering women through sports. However, I wasn't able to find a lot of analytical information or statistics. A lot of the information I was finding was testimonial, and although that's incredibly important because it puts into perspective how young women were feeling after being empowered through sports, I also needed data and numbers, and I couldn't just rely on the first article, Empowering Women Through Sports, in the stimulus material as my evidence for data and statistics. I needed to find more, and I wasn't able to. Additionally, I was going somewhat off topic by trying to combine too many difficult topics into one essay, such as sexual assault and misconduct of women through sports. What I mean by misconduct is them being discriminated against and treated differently than men. Overall, it was a lot more than I had originally planned for, and it overall was insufficient. Therefore, I went in a different approach, which was discovering and improving how sports and physical activity can improve the mental and physical development of children with Down syndrome. With this new approach, I was able to find a big amount of analytical data, as well as testimonial evidence through trials, studies, and other World Health organizations such as the CDC, the World Health Organization, the National Down Syndrome Society. All of those websites offered me statistics that I was looking for, and additionally linked trials that gave me testimonials to better support my arguments. I was also able to more easily combine the seamless material, psychological benefits of sports and physical activity, as well as empowering women through sports, because I could now combine the mental development of children with Down syndrome and support. I would be supported by the psychological developments or the psychological benefits of sports and physical activity, and I was able to use the Empowering Women Through Sports in my solution, as well as to support physical development of children with Down syndrome. Moving forward to the second oral defense. I studied the argumentation through effective questioning inquiry. I decided on the question, what additional questions emerged from your research? Why are these questions important? A lot of questions emerged throughout my research, specifically to help me articulate how physical activity as well as various sports are capable of providing the benefits to children with Down syndrome for their mental and physical development. Specifically, one of the questions that emerged in my research was, how does physical activity or physical exercise, PE, in schools help or do not help children with Down syndrome? After researching, I discovered an article called Physical Education for People with Down Syndrome. Is it more than just playing games? In this article, Joplin, she discusses how a lot of sports require specific skills that a lot of children with Down syndrome aren't as advanced or have those skill sets. By skill sets, she's talking about speed, agility, postural stability, hand-eye coordination, and other various skills that are an integral part of sports, such as baseball, being able to throw a ball and run and catch it. Those are skills that children with Down syndrome are tending to lack, and because after reading her article, I found out that a lot of physical education programs are age-based, and as we know, is children with Down syndrome, in general, children with disabilities, are sometimes a bit behind their peers. Therefore, putting them in a group of students who are the same age as them might not benefit them. Because they're at a different level developmentally, it can instead cause them stress and more pressure, making sports something that they don't enjoy. And overall, sports just become something like a stressor, and it makes them upset to go to it. And that's not something that we want to create. Therefore, this question was vital to my research because it allowed me to create a solution and also develop limitations to the solution. After understanding that some physical education programs aren't fit for children with disabilities, specifically in this case, children with Down syndrome. Thank you so much for listening.